Good evening. Welcome to another Black History Moment. We are still in Women's History Month. Tonight, we're reading from Extraordinary African Americans. Fannie Lou Hamer. Civil rights leader, 1917 to 1977. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Fannie Lou Hamer. You can pray until you faint, but if you don't get up and try to do something, God is not going to put it in your lap. So spoke Fannie Lou Hamer at a 1964 meeting in Indianola, Mississippi, where she urged African Americans to register to vote. It was dangerous work. A year earlier, she had been beaten up for doing it. Born October 6, 1917, in Mississippi, Hamer was the youngest of 20 children. Her parents were sharecroppers. Sharecropping is a system whereby people work the land and share the profits on the crops. It's a hard way to make a living, and sharecroppers generally are born poor, live poor, and die poor. At age 6, Hamer began helping in the cotton fields. At 12, she was forced to drop out of school and work full-time to help support her family. Once grown, she married another sharecropper named Perry Pap Hamer. In 1962, Hamer and 17 other African Americans took a bus to the courthouse to register to vote. On their return home, police stopped their bus saying it was painted the wrong color. Hamer and the others were arrested. After Hamer was released from jail, the owner of the plantation where Hamer worked told her that if she insisted on voting, she would have to get off his land. Hamer refused to back down and was forced to leave the plantation that same day. That evening, night riders fired 16 bullets into the home of the woman with whom Hamer had gone to stay. Still, Hamer would not give up. "We're tired of all this beating," she said. "It's been 100 years and we're still being beaten and shot at. Crosses are still being burned because we want to vote. But I'm going to stay in Mississippi, and if they shoot me down, I'll be buried here." By this time, Hamer had begun working on welfare and voter registration programs for 2 civil rights organizations, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, to focus greater national attention on voter discrimination. Civil rights groups created the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, MFDP. The MFDP sent a delegation, which included Hamer, to Atlantic City, where the Democratic Party was holding its national convention for the 1964 presidential nomination. The MFPD's purpose was to challenge the regular all-white Mississippi delegation on the grounds that it did not fairly represent all the people of Mississippi. Convention goers reached a compromise that gave voting and speaking rights to 2 delegates from the MFDP and seated the rest as honored guests. The Democrats agreed that in the future, no delegation would be allowed from a state where anyone was illegally denied the right to vote. A year later, President Johnson pushed through Congress a voting rights bill that protected African American voters. Hamer continued to work on equal rights and anti-poverty programs in her later years. Speaking of discrimination, she once said, "This ain't just Mississippi's problem. It's America's problem." Thanks to Hamer, America has less of a problem today. Thank you for listening to this Black History Moment.